Well, here's the garden. We planted this garden on Good Friday. And the day after, I planted a squash over here. But we have a problem here in our little town with deer. And we're in the city limits, so we can't fire a gun and we can't kill the deer. This is actually a game preserve and no killing anything. But we listened to the internet. The internet said put 2 fences up. They were saying 4 foot, 5 foot wide would do it, but we got worried about that and we put 6 foot wide. 6 foot tall and 4 foot between them. It's our deer fence. And this is kind of what it looks like. We're trying to get a garden here. We used the 2x4 small wire 14 gauge wire so we could not be so visible. We can see through it. It doesn't look so much like it's a prison. But I tilled all this up, fertilized it, made it completely level, used eye levels, cut our furrows so we could go ahead and irrigate and capture all the water, save us a ton of water. Sometimes the water bill here gets kind of expensive. In the past, when we sprayed over the ground with sprinklers, used way too much water. But this is day 14. This is what we got here. Doing our best to produce a good garden this year. I'm going to walk in and show you. Now this is a little savings. We put the 2 3/8 outside post just for making sure that we keep straight. But instead of the pipe and the clamps that you get for the pipe, we put in 5/8 rebar and we just welded it so it would never move. It was considerably cheaper. You tie it to your fence every once in a while, put a good concrete base in. It doesn't allow it to move any. We've put about 90 to 100 pounds of pull on each of these wires. We did that with a makeshift system of a pipe, clothes hanger wire, and vice grips. So we was able to really pull tight. This is a very tight fence. We've run gates for easy access and yet keep the deer out. Now right now we only have to worry about keeping one deer. Keeping the outside gate closed because it's not growing up to where the deer are really trying to get in. But once the deer really try to get in, we start making fruit, we'll be sure and keep our second gate closed. That will assure the deer stay out. But this is day 14. This is Friday, and it's 2 weeks after Good Friday. We got our tomatoes. Now, I didn't harden the tomatoes this year. I just put out what we had in the window. They took a real big hit out here. We lost 27 out of 42 tomato plants. We came back in with some store-bought tomato plants. We got 6 of them. They're right here. And then we have onions growing right here. We have lettuce, iceberg lettuce, growing right here. We have tomatoes growing. We have more tomatoes growing. They're just now coming out of it. Took them 2 weeks to come out of the non-hardening process. We had some cold days, and I'm sure that helped on hurting them. But we have 2 rows of tomatoes, which is 42 tomato plants. This is our, right here you'll see is our green peppers. We have 28 growing. This right here is our peas. Another row of peas. Another row, this is beans. Another row of beans. A row of okra. a row of okra, a row of okra, and a half row of okra. We have a little bit of trouble with voles. They're getting in here and really creating trouble. They're not letting us irrigate well. They dig tunnels and the water leaves and goes into the tunnels, so they will have to be dealt with. You can see where they've dug along the bottom of it, but they're not catching the actual plants. I don't know what they're digging for. If it's grubs, which might very well be. Right here is our squash, squash, and squash. Our 6-foot fence, 2 rows, the double gate underpinning under the shed to keep the cats out. Turns out cats like to use your freshly tilled garden as their private potty, and they believe that you're doing it for them, and they're very happy with it. But I was not very happy with it. This is the fence we're putting in now. Since it was a small run, what we've decided to do is run 5/8 rebar post in the concrete, 5/8 rebar bracing, and we're getting ready to set the last of the bracing today. There'll be another fence right behind it, as you can see. These wooden posts will come out, and they will be rebar also. And we're going to leave a gate, door opening, a complete opening right here on that outside fence, 2 foot wide, so we can get in and clean that area, weed eat it, keep it looking good. And that is the garden, and hopefully it'll do good. I'll try to keep everybody updated on the deer. Now, without the stuff, without the fences, we had a herd of deer in here, and they ate our entire crop. They ate our peas, our beans, our tomatoes, our bell peppers, our okra, and our squash. The only thing they didn't really get was onions. And the next row of lettuce, now we put some lettuce out last year, and they just gobbled them up right away. They didn't even get a chance to grow well. So everything's behind the fence. I'll keep y'all posted on how the deer fence works. I believe it works real well.